going down the road, and suddenly everything shuts down. No more power. What do you do? Well, let's talk about it. Hi, and welcome back. I am Trainer Allen, your OTR truck driving instructor. Today we're talking about breakdowns and the procedures to follow immediately and during a breakdown. Now, nobody likes to think about it, but ultimately, if you've been out on the road for any time at all, you know breakdowns are a part of the trucker's life, right? If you are not out on the road yet, understand that you're going to be broke down from time to time. And that's just the way it goes, it happens. I don't care if you're in a brand new truck or a truck 20 years old, breakdowns happen, okay? Just a natural order of things break, okay? But how you deal with a breakdown can mean the difference between living and not living, honestly, and more to the average point, I guess, would be it's the difference between making money and not making money, right? So let's talk about what to do when you break down. Now, breakdown procedures will vary from company to company, but knowing what to do can save you a lot of time and, like I said, possibly your life and your job. So, all that said, here is my checklist of things that I do in a breakdown situation. First of all, as long as you're following proper practices, you should know far enough ahead what things are looking like to know when maybe you can, safely get off to the side, right? So, immediately, that's the first thing. You lose power, you're like, oh crap. That's everybody's first reaction, right? Oh crap. But calm down, don't freak out. Start looking for a good place to get over. Okay, now you're rolling at this point. Okay, turn your emergency flashers on and start watching for a mile marker because breakdown's going to want to know where you're at, right? Okay, so you need to know where you're at. You need to know where the closest place is for you to roll off to the side of the road safely, okay? Now, do not hit the brakes, okay? That might be your initial thought is, I need to slow down. No, do not touch your brakes, okay? Because you only have so much air. And now that the truck's not running, you don't have any way to build up any more air. If you touch your brakes, you're losing air pressure like that, okay? Keep your foot off the brake. Nothing's changing around you, okay? The traffic pattern's still the same. The only difference is that you have lost power and you are naturally going to be slowing down unless you're going downhill. Obviously, then you'll need to think about braking a little quicker, but as long as you just a little bit of roll in the road or whatever, straight road, definitely going uphill, do not touch your brakes. Okay, now if you're going uphill, you're going to have to work through this process in your head a lot faster because if you're going uphill and you lose power, you only have so long to get over before you're going to come to a stop anyway and start rolling backwards, right? So, don't hit the brakes initially. You need all the air you got. Let it coast while you, focus on where you're getting over and the traffic around you. Okay. Once you find where you're going to pull off at, ease over in a controlled manner. Do not jerk the wheel. Don't not use your turn signals. Okay. Make sure you're using those things. Okay. Because if say you're in the middle lane or left lane and there's cars up beside you and the closest place for you to get over is on that right shoulder, you've got to use your turn signals. Let those cars know what you're doing, but pay attention. Don't just automatically knee-jerk reaction, start jerking over to the right. Don't do it, okay? Ease over in a controlled manner. Come to a complete stop, preferably only after your entire tractor and trailer are off and out of all lanes of travel, okay? Don't leave your tail hanging out, okay? Roll to a point where you are no longer on the in the lanes of travel, if at all possible. Okay. Once you finally do stop, again, don't use that brake unless you absolutely need to. Let it roll as far as you can. As long as you can see that you're on a safe shoulder, let it roll as far as you can let it roll and let it stop naturally. And then as soon as it stops, pop your brakes, but only your tractor brakes. Do not set your air brakes. Here's why. If you need towed, okay, it's going to be a lot easier for them to tow you if you still have air in your system. Okay, when you pop your trailer brakes, you're losing more air. Okay, now you're already going to have some air loss over a period of time because that's just natural. Hopefully your air system is good enough where you don't have a lot of air loss quickly. Okay, but nonetheless, set your tractor brakes, not your trailer brakes, unless, of course, you're parked on a hill. If you're on an incline, yes, set both. But if you're not on an incline, just your tractor brakes. All right, so let's say this happens and you're between concrete barriers on either side. There is no shoulder to get off on. What do? Well, again, turn your emergency flashers on right away. Let it roll as far as you can go and get to your furthest right lane. But again, don't hit the brakes. You need all the air you have. Ease over to your right lane in a controlled manner. And, you know, as long as you're rolling, you never know. You might get to the end of those barriers and be able to get over to your right, okay? So you just let it roll with your flashers on, okay? As soon as the truck has come to a complete stop, the first thing you need to do if you're in lanes of travel is call the local police, okay? The best way to do that is to pull out your phone, Google Maps, type in police, okay? It'll pull up all the police stations closest to you, click on the one closest to you, hit call, and talk to them. And you're going to need to let them know exactly where you're at, which will mean they'll want the highway number, the direction of your travel, and your mile marker, okay? If you don't know the mile marker, give the last exit that you passed, or if you can see an upcoming exit number, let them know that. Explain that you're broke down in a lane of travel and that you need the lane protected so that no one gets hurt, okay? And they will usually have someone out there pretty quick, okay? Because nobody wants to see a car going 60, 70 mile an hour go up underneath a tractor trailer. Nobody wants to clean up after that. Nobody wants to see it, all right? So they will get there as quickly as possible. As soon as you get off the phone with the police, contact your company breakdown department and let them know you're broke down and that you need a tow immediately. And this is if you're broke down in a lane of travel, okay? Because ultimately you're blocking traffic, and if your company doesn't get somebody out there at a decent rate, the cops are going to get somebody out there, and it's not necessarily going to be a decent rate for the company, okay? So if you're broke down in a lane of travel, chances are good your company is going to get somebody out there pretty quick. Now, if you are in a lane of travel, when it comes to a stop, you make sure that you call the breakdown. Don't send them a message on your electronic communications device. Call them, okay? Because this needs to happen quickly. And sometimes, you know, if so-and-so's on break, somebody's covering for them, that electronic message may not be read right away, and you need to contact someone right away. All right? Now, if and when safe to do so, and this is true in any breakdown situation, okay, in lanes of travel or not, but when and if safe to do so, set out your safety triangles at this point, okay? Now, I say when and if safe because if you're in a lane of travel, you're between two barriers and there's two lanes going one way and there's any kind of traffic, you don't need to get out of that truck, period. You stay right there in that driver's seat until emergency vehicles arrive, okay? Otherwise, well, you know what could happen if you step out in front of a motor vehicle or a motor vehicle doesn't see you, and it's not going to be a good day, all right? So if and when safe to do so, set out your safety triangles. Now, at this point, if you still have power to your electronic communications device, go ahead and send your dispatcher a message about your call to breakdown and notify them of your location and situation as well. Okay? Because ultimately, being broke down, the first person that you called was breakdown, not your dispatcher. Okay? And chances are, if you're in a company of any size, it's going to be two different people. Okay? So, after you're safely stopped, you've called breakdown, cops if necessary, then you're going to let your dispatcher know what's going on. Okay? After that, sit tight. I mean, just sit tight, really. Now, I will say this. If you are in lanes of travel, okay, and there is grass on the other side of them barriers or something that you can someplace safe that you can go to, and you can get out that passenger side door without having to step out in traffic, please take your cell phone and go. Get out of that truck. Okay, because if another truck barreling down through there who isn't paying attention at 70 mile an hour rear ends you and you're sitting in that truck, you could still die. Okay, so if possible in that situation, get out of your truck and get at least 50 feet off the side of the road. Okay, now if you're pulled over on the side, you're on the shoulder. Okay, you're out of the travel lanes. At this point, make sure your ringer's on your phone. Go take a nap. That's the best thing I can tell you to do, because it's hard telling when someone's going to be there to help you. But you need that ringer on, because if breakdown tries to call you to get set up for parts or whatever you may need, whether it's tow, parts, anything, okay, they'll need to be able to get a hold of you. So make sure your ringer's on. That way, if you do go to sleep, they can still get a hold of you. Now, while you're waiting, though, before you go take that nap, write down any noises you may have noticed just before breaking down. Know anything else about the breakdown that you find peculiar, odd. Also, write down your conversation with your dispatcher and with breakdown. If you're beside the road and not in your truck, call dispatch and let them know that you are not in your truck for safety purposes, and that if they need to communicate with you, that they need to call you. Now, most larger companies these days have communications on your phone, okay? So you don't necessarily have to call them, or they don't necessarily have to call you, but you'll need to pay attention to make sure you're getting messages. Now, all of that said, these are just general rules of thumb, okay? Your company's guidelines may differ from these a little bit, but none of these rules that I'm giving you should be considered legal advice. I am in no way, shape, or form trying to offer legal advice. My advice is not admissible in court for any purposes, okay? But these are my steps that I go through and have for years, pretty much no matter what company I'm with. This is the way I do it, okay? And, you know, while I hope that nobody's ever in a breakdown situation, truth is that's a hope that can fly in the wind, because you're going to be broke down, okay? And hopefully, if you can get these basic things in your mind that we just talked about, hopefully you'll be able to avoid some excess hassle that you don't need to deal with when you're already dealing with breakdown, all right? That's it for today's episode. Between now and next time, you keep that shiny side up, keep that dirty side down, and we will catch you on the flip flop.